Once upon a time, as the fairy tale likes to begin, there was a hill. And at the bottom of this hill lived a woman. She was poor, but always willing to help the people of the village by mixing up herbs, preparing concoctions, and other natural remedies for all kinds of diseases and ailments. She was kind and generous, but among the villagers there was a rumor that she was a witch, which she was indeed. In her blood flowed an ancient power, deeply connected with the nature and its gifts. Beside being a healer and secretly a witch, the woman was above all a mother. Her son meant the world to her, and the two of them spent hours, every day, playing on the hill behind the house. They used to look for the most valuable flowers and plants, or lay down on the grass to watch the sky in the sunny days. Since it was a large but empty hill, one day they decided to plant a tree, a yew tree. They both knew they would not live long enough to see it in all its majesty, but they did it anyway. Every day, they climbed the hill to take care of that little seed that slowly began to grow. While the young boy nourished the yew tree with water, the mother told him stories, wild stories about knights, kingdoms, and all sorts of adventures. She made them up and let the son finish them as he pleased, as he was also a gentle soul. Years went by, and the little seed became a small shrub, with tiny leaves here and there. It was a time of happiness and joy, which is usually the moment most fairy tales like to end. But this is not that kind of story. An illness like no other began spreading in the village. People started to feel sick and die, and it seemed that no medicine nor natural remedy could heal the one suffering, not even with the help of the so-called witch, and she could not even help her son. He died one night, at the first light of a cold day. Then something broke inside the mother. She started to wander upon the hill, doing nothing else but grieving and sobbing. She kept taking care of the yew tree, but instead of telling stories, she just sat there and cried. The tears became the very water for the tree, and some of her magic began to flood in the ground where the roots were growing. The yew tree was able to feel the pain, sorrow, and grief of the mother, saddened that there was nothing it could do about it. Meanwhile, the villagers began to hate the witch, having convinced themselves that she was the one that brought this curse upon them, blaming her for all those deaths. At first, they just avoided her on the streets. Then they started to mumble some insults under their breaths, but she didn't care at all. The night they came for her, she didn't even resist. She let them carry her outside the house and upon the hill, where a pyre had been prepared, a few feet away from the yew tree. She kept her eyes on the tree she planted with her son, while they tied her to the stake. And she didn't blink while they yelled at her, or while they started the fire. Only when the flames reached her limbs, she opened her mouth, and let the most horrific howl to come out. But it was clear to everyone that she wasn't screaming for the fire or the looming death. She was still crying for her beloved son, as in a few moments she would be relieved of the sorrow for his death, not just her life. The frightened villagers ran away as the fire had grown and the mother kept screaming at the top of her lungs. But she was not really alone when she died. The yew tree felt everything, absorbed all her pain through the earth and the air. And he knew that what killed the mother hadn't been the villagers, the hate, or the fire, or the grief for her son. She died because she wasn't able to let this pain go, carrying it inside like a boulder. And so, the yew tree made a promise to the mother. it would grow stronger and stronger. And it would be there for those who needed to deal with heavy feelings, inexplicable tragedies, and all that pain by themselves. I will, it promised. I will walk for them. Many years later, I kept the promise and started to walk. It happened exactly 7 minutes after midnight.